Welcome in another edition of Inside the Cage on BJPenn.com. I am Mike Pendleton, and it's been a little bit of a layoff for me. My next guest, it will not be a layoff for. She has a quick turnaround coming off a first-round win just a couple weeks ago, and she'll return on June 20th to take on Gillian Robertson. She has one of my – she's probably so sick of hearing this, but she has one of my most iconic favorite moments in any fight against Felice Herrig. The double bird, the spitting of the blood. If I could get that framed, I would. She's the one and only Cortney Casey. Cortney, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So, I kind of heard, I'm kind of cheating here because I kind of heard your last interview. So I don't want to have you sound like a broken record. But, during these times, you have one fight after months of uncertainty, where, not you per se, but the UFC, you don't know when events are happening. Is there going to be a crowd? Is there this, or that? And then you turn around and you're like, oh, no, I'm good. Let's get right back into it. I just got to I kind of wonder from your perspective, what led to that quick decision? I know you said, the fight makes sense and all of that, but at some point, you just had a fight. You didn't want to take any time off. You just want to get right back in it?
I mean, if they gave me time off, I'd take it, but my job's to fight. That's my job. They called me. I talked it over with my coaches, talked it over with Jakar, and, had to take a few moments to shake my arms out, move my legs, wiggle my back around. I really didn't take that much damage. I'm good. My body's good. I'm good to go. And that's pretty much what we decided. We, might as well go out there and fight again.
Well, one of my favorite type of fighter to talk to is someone like you who doesn't mind a quick turnaround, who can break it all down. And obviously, you said, yes, if I got a break, I would take a break. But you did say, your job is to fight. With that all being said, if you can, kind of, what goes through? I know you just said that, you talk to your car, you talk to your team. But for yourself internally, what do you go through internally when thinking about, do I really want to turn around and have such a quick second fight?
I just really had to take a moment and just really think about the shortness of time that I have, and will I be able to get the job done? And like I said, when I mean it was a perfect kind of opponent, it really just, our camps are just going to segue right into this one. It's not a huge difference of a fighter that we're fighting. We're going to keep the wrestling the same. We're going to up the jiu-jitsu a little bit, little things like that we can make small adjustments that we can still be efficient, with only having a 3-week camp. And then, it's 4 weeks, but I call it 3 working weeks and then fight week. So, and that was mainly the main thing that goes through my head is do I have enough time to prepare myself physically and mentally for this fight? And considering physically I was healthy, I knew I could go right back into camp, and the opponent wasn't something out of the norm that we weren't already kind of preparing for, and we have all the bodies. Let's go. And that was it.
I absolutely love your mindset coming in and having such a quick turnaround. And sorry if I feel like, or if it sounds like I'm pulling such a human element out of you for this, but for me, a lot of interviews I've done recently throughout, this coronavirus pandemic, I feel like every single fighter, yourself included, honestly, Cortney, you more than most fighters I've talked to recently, I feel like you and all the other fighters I've talked to are kind of a symbol of hope, because here we are. The UFC was the first sport back, just like Dana White said you guys would be. People don't know when they're returning to a life of normalcy. And, even the most casual of fight fans can look at you and your fights and be like, well, if she's turning around and she's going to keep fighting, I can keep fighting for whatever the purpose is. Do you feel like kind of somewhat of a hope for those who are stuck in the house or going through some uncertain times during this coronavirus pandemic?
I really didn't look at it that way. But yeah, I guess so. Everyone's going through something, whether it's just not being able to see their family or, go to work and provide for their family and things like that. So am I a symbol of hope? I'm not 100% sure about that. But I don't know, maybe there's just a light at the end of the tunnel. I don't want to say that I'm a symbol, hey, baby, a symbol of hope. But it's definitely, I mean, regardless if it was a pandemic or something like that, I mean, I feel like everyone's going through something in their life at some point in time, regardless of a pandemic. So I think at the end of the day, everyone just needs to, bite down and just keep moving forward.
It's my favorite, metaphor of life is just bite down on the mouthpiece and keep moving forward, like you just said. What's the flyweight division like for you?
They're 125. I mean, that's what it is. That's all it is. I feel like the girls at 15, I said in a previous interview, is they're fast. They're well-rounded, and they're experienced. I feel like a lot of the 115-pound division, I think that's another reason why that division was the second division that came to the UFC, is because it was so heavily, experience. A lot of these girls that I was fighting had 15, 16, 22 fights, and I had 4. So it was just the level of experience that those girls had. So that's a lot of cage time. That's a lot of judges. That's a lot of fights that they've had where they know how to play the game. And, I think that experience, in a few of my fights, maybe have swayed the judges a little bit more of winning those little moments, knowing when, what to do in certain positions to win over the judges. And I think that the 125-pound division is more of a fight or flight kind of division. These girls are either going out and putting on a show or, someone's getting finished. I feel like it's just kind of wide open. 1 or 2 wins, you're pretty much up there in the top 15, top 10, and, man, you string together 3 wins in a row, you're in title contention. So other than the girls being, 125, I think that's the only difference in the division, is just the experience is a little bit smaller.
And there's definitely opportunity, like you pointed out, as well. So I'll ask you, then what does this fight against Gillian Robertson present to you? Obviously, yes, it's a quick turnaround. Yes, it keeps you active. It keeps you busy. It can keep your momentum rolling. Obviously, I mean, like you said, no damage in your last fight. But what does this fight against Gillian Robertson present to you?
A huge opportunity. I mean, she's fought some good girls. She has some good wins. Some people, like when I was telling my coaches and, other people had hit me up on social media once I, announced the fight, that she's kind of like that gatekeeper at 125. She's just a good, solid girl all around. And, I feel like it's a really good test for me to see where I'm at. It's kind of hard to tell when you have a quick finish, like I did in my last fight. I mean, that fight could have gone either way, you know what I mean? But luckily it went in my favor, and now it's time to test myself against, someone that's skilled and, has a great coach behind her and, has a good name behind her, and we'll see how we do against her.
Is this a opportunity also where you kind of want to seize on your momentum? First round finish, you're in this 125 division. If you can get another one, which I definitely can see happening and going your way in this fight. But now if you can get 2 quick finishes, like you just said, hey, if I win 3 in a row, look where I could be at in this division. Is this also kind of where you want to capitalize on what's right in front of you right now?
Why not? I mean, at this point, man, I got short time. I'm getting up there in age. This is going to be my 12th fight in the UFC. It's a fight. And that's what I'm here to do. If they give me another opportunity right away, and it's a good opportunity, I'll take that as well. But I'm not trying to build off my momentum or anything like that. If they would have called me, 2 months from now, I would have said yes too. So they just happened to call me like 3 days later. So, and I was ready to go. So I really don't. I don't know what else there is to do. I mean, my job's to train and fight. I mean, it's better to train for a fight than just to train, so might as well get paid to fight.
I've always been, and I can admit this, I've always been a fan of yours, and I think talking to you, in the first 10 minutes here, that definitely stays the course in my mindset. But hearing you say, like, listen, this is my job, Cortney, I'm just curious how you don't fall into a trap of being caught on social media, a trap of listening to the fans. In your last fight, you had the fortune you didn't have to listen to any fans. But you know, this sport of mixed martial arts and being a part of the UFC, a lot of fighters' careers can go completely off the rails, or they can go completely unexpected. So how do you keep this mindset of just saying, I'm a fighter and I'm doing what I signed up to do?
That's it. I mean, like, I'm not trying to, like, my job, my contract, everything is to fight. That's, like, on paper, that's what I signed. I didn't sign anything about social media. I didn't sign anything about posting pictures. I didn't sign anything about commenting back to people and being interactive with my fans. I didn't sign up to have X amount of followers. I signed up to fight. That's my job. If the UFC doesn't like that, then they need to change their contract. But as far as I'm concerned, like, I'm a fighter. This is just something that I do. This is just my job. I go home and I have a family. I have friends, you know. I'm lucky enough to have fans. But I'm not going to go out there and search for people. I'm not going to go out there and do things that I don't like to do just to get followers or to get likes. Like, this is me through and through. What you see on social media, what you see on Facebook and things like that, you see in interviews or you hear on interviews, that's what I am. I'm just Cortney Casey, and I so happen to every now and then step in a cage and fight. And that's how I live my life. I'm not trying to go and put myself out there any more than I need to. If it comes, it comes. But, you know, I'm just being me, and if people like it, they like it. If they don't, then that's their problem. And I really don't give those people the time of day anyways. Like, if you're not my friend, I'm not going to try to make you my friend. You know, I'm not going to do anything to get you to like me. So
I'll say this on the media side. It's very nice to have a genuine Cortney Casey in this fight game, because as I'm sure you know, not everyone is as genuine as you. So it's a nice breath of fresh air every once in a while to pick up the phone and interview someone like yourself. You mentioned your family, and I don't want to take up too much more of your time. We've mentioned your car a couple times, but you do have a family. And, having him there is obviously very crucial and important and helpful for you each and every day, not just on fight night. But if you can speak on what it was like fighting in an empty arena, having him there, having your family support when, at a time, like I said earlier, people have no idea what's going on in this world right now, but you had such a tight circle of support and you were able to get the job done so quickly. So I'm wondering if you just speak on that a little bit.
It's nice to have it's just nice to have a support system that is happy regardless. You know, win, lose, or draw, they're happy regardless. They're happy through everything. You know, they go through the ups and downs. They go through, the highs and the lows and the stress and everything. And as long as you do what you've been working on and you grow, whether you win or lose, as long as you're growing as an athlete, you're growing as a mixed martial artist, and you're growing as a person, they're happy. And that's the kind of corner that I want and that I've been lucky to have with me. And, even Jakar's like, well, because he was hurt. He had surgery right after his fight, so he didn't get to train with me. He was going to rehab because we have the little one, King. So when I was at practice, he was at home. Then I would come home, and he'd go to rehab. So we had to have someone watch him, so he wasn't at a lot of practices. He's like, what do you want me to say in the corner? Because I really haven't been there. And I was like, man, we got bills to pay. And he's like, okay, I'll remind you that we got bills to pay. So it's good. We have a good relationship. We have a very lighthearted relationship. So it's nice. It's good to have, a coach in there, a striking coach, a jiu-jitsu coach, and then someone that's in there that's like, hey, man, we just got to go in there and get the job done. And, so I've been blessed to have him and, Alan and Santino in my corner and everything like that.
Like you said, it's the job you signed up for. You have bills to pay. Real quickly before I let you go, what was it like fighting in that empty arena? Because, obviously you know better than I do. There was so much media coverage on how everything was being handled leading up to the event, how you guys were being transported to the event, and then what were the commentators saying? Could you hear the other corner, and were you hearing your corner so clearly? So what was it like for you?
I loved it. I really did love it. I said this earlier, like, it was really true to like martial arts, like back when you were just, you were just sparring as a kid in your taekwondo studio, your karate studio, where it was just your parents, on sparring days. It was just you guys and the coaches, and your parents are told to be quiet and just to watch. At the end of the day, it's an art. Like, it's mixed martial arts. Like, it's an art. You don't go to an art gallery and people like yelling and screaming and booing at like the photos and stuff like that and whatnot. They're just there to watch and to take it all in. And I think that's kind of why I liked it. You didn't have the booing and the screaming and all that, and you really just kind of got to focus. You could hear the commentators here and there. You could hear your coaches, obviously a lot clearer. The punches landing. You can tell the difference between a checked kick and a kick that landed because you can really hear it. And then as a fan watching it the weekend before, like the Gaethje fight and the Ferguson fight, like, I mean, man, that was a war, but like you could hear the punches land. Like, you knew how hard Ferguson was getting hit. He kept going. So I feel like you have a little bit more respect for the guy in the cage and the women in the cage when you can really embrace the actual art of mixed martial arts.
Well, I got to say, I'm lucky enough to have had plenty of interviews with plenty of fighters, but Cortney, not only was this one of my favorites, and I'm not just saying that because you're on the line with me, I'm saying that because it's true, but also you may actually have my most favorite quote of all time. You don't go in an art gallery and start screaming at the art. So that honestly might be one of my most favorite things I've ever heard. Thank you so much for your time this evening. I know we kind of just made it happen on the spot. I really, really appreciate it. Best of luck, and if everything goes your way, which again I hope it does, I hope we could talk after your fight.
Absolutely.
That was Cortney Casey. I am Mike Pendleton. What an interview. What an interview. And big thank you to Cortney and her team for making it happen. I love stories like that when you have a Cortney Casey, Jakar Close, who's, in the UFC as well. There's a family, there's a mindset of a job to be done, and just true love of mixed martial arts. I think that's what we're all here for. That's what we should be here for, and it's so refreshing to talk to a voice and a name like Cortney Casey who has that same mindset. So follow bjpenn.com for all your latest news, interviews, and much more. Follow them on Twitter at bjpenn.com. Follow myself on Twitter at mp2310. You can follow me on Instagram at mikep2310. And until next time, as always, this was Inside the Cage. I'm Mike Pendleton. We'll see you soon, everybody.